Hi, I'm Shelley Wood. You might know me from shelleywood.com. This is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. Today, I'm going to show you how to sew a pretty party dress to fit 8-inch or 9-inch dolls, that would be 20 to 23 centimeters metric, like Stacie, the La-Di-Da dolls, Disney fairy dolls, and there are others. Before we begin, please go to shelleywood.com to download this free printable PDF sewing pattern. Use the pattern to cut out all the pieces shown here. Lay one bodice front on top of another bodice front, keeping the right sides together. That means the stars are touching. So you'll see I'm putting it pretty side to pretty side. Sew around the bodice neck. You can do this by hand or on a sewing machine. Next, set one bodice back on top of another. Again, you want to keep those right sides together. So pretty side touching the pretty side. Sew around what would be the neck and then down the back closure area. Do the same for the other back as well. Clip the seams for both the bodice front and the bodice backs. This allows for flexibility in the garment. Here I am doing my clipping. Next, you'll invert all three of the bodice pieces. I like to use a chopstick to help with inverting, especially for tiny doll clothes. Here's how each piece looks after inverting. You'll want to press your seams. Lay one bodice back on top of the bodice front. Stitch across the shoulder area. Now I'm using orange thread, so it's hard to see my stitches, but they are there. Do the same with the other back. Lay it across the front and then sew at the shoulder seam. It's a very tiny seam, and with small doll clothes I do prefer to sew by hand, but you could use a machine. Open the garment up like this and press the seams. Lay one sleeve alongside the underarm area. Sew from the underarm to just shy of the actual shoulder. Wrap the sleeve around to the other underarm. Stitch from that underarm to just shy of the shoulder seam also. Gather the sleeve in the middle. Stitch the gathered part of the sleeve to the shoulder. Follow these directions for both sleeves. Double fold hem each sleeve. For a double fold hem, what you want to do is fold once and then a second time. Now I'm using a whip stitch, and there's a link to my whip stitch tutorial below this video on YouTube. Fold the bodice so the back touches the front. Make sure you're keeping right or done looking sides together. Stitch from the sleeve's edge down the side of the garment to the bottom of the bodice, like you see me doing in this next little video clip. Now fold down the other back against the front and sew it from the sleeve to the bodice's edge also. Now your bodice should look like this. Flip the bodice right side out. Set this aside for just a moment, and we'll go work with the skirt for a little while. Hem the skirt with a double fold hem. Once again, you fold once and then a second time. Whip stitch along the skirt's edge, or of course you could do this step on your sewing machine. Once you finish hemming the skirt, add any embellishments or notions you want. I attached a strip of yellow ribbon to my skirt. That's about a 1/2 centimeter above the hem's edge. I also attached a ribbon to the bodice at the bottom of the bodice. Now I used a whip stitch to attach my ribbons, but you could use a sewing machine. For tiny doll clothes, I just prefer to sew by hand. When attaching ribbon, make sure you wrap it around the back closure area of the bodice to kind of hide the raw edges. Set the bodice aside again, and let's work with the skirt. Gather the unhemmed edge of the skirt, leaving about 1.5 centimeters or 1 inch at either side. That part will have no gathers at all. Now don't knot your gathers just yet. Pin the skirt to the bodice instead, without pinning the extra ungathered fabric. Now it's okay to tie off your gathers now that you're sure that the bodice will fit. Sew the skirt to the bodice, leaving the extra 1.5 centimeters of fabric on either side. As you stitch the bodice to the skirt, remove the pins as you go along. Here's a closer look at what I'm doing. I'm using a backstitch. Once the bodice is fully attached to the skirt, double fold hem those overhanging fabric edges at the side, just like you see me doing here. So I'm again using a whip stitch to hem that. This hem needs to be about 1.5 inches long, that's 4 centimeters or so. Now your doll dress looks like this. It's starting to look like a dress. Fold the dress in half, just like you see here. So what we're doing is we're pulling together those side hems and then looking for that raw edge. Sew the raw edges of fabric together from the side hems to the bottom of the dress. Turn the whole dress right side out. Sew a few snaps down the back, and now you're ready to try it on your doll. Isn't this Stacie doll lovely in this pretty autumn orange? For more free printable sewing patterns to fit dolls of many shapes and all different sizes, please remember to visit my website, shelleywood.com. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos and free patterns, please share them on your favorite social media platforms. It really helps my website grow if you spread the word. Goodbye.